Digital upside is what you miss. Helping you to jumpstart your business. Digital upside, there ain't none better. It's time to take it to the next level. Let's go. Digital upside.
Herzlich willkommen zur 26. Folge des Digital Upside Podcasts. In diesem Podcast unterhalte ich mich mit Sigrun. Und Sigrun ist in vielerlei Beziehungen eine interessante Persönlichkeit. Sigrun ist Isländerin und lebt das halbe Jahr in Island und in der Schweiz. Sigrun hat 4 Master Abschlüsse, Sigrun hat schon TEDx gegeben, Sigrun hat ein Buch veröffentlicht und daneben und natürlich entscheidend ist sie sehr erfolgreiche Online-Unternehmerin. Sie ist als Coach tätig und das seit 2014. Sie hatte nach eigener Beschreibung recht bald nach ihrem Start Erfolg und dieser Erfolg wurde natürlich in der Zwischenzeit nur größer. Als ich ihre Zusage zu diesem Interview bekommen habe, ging ich davon aus, dass das Interview in Englisch stattfinden wird. Und genau so wurde die Idee geboren, eine Versuchsreihe zu starten mit Gesprächen in unterschiedlichen Sprachen, wie zum Beispiel die Mundart Schweizerdeutsche Ausgabe, die veröffentlicht ist, und nun die englische Ausgabe. Ich werde zu späterem Zeitpunkt eine übersetzte Variante anbieten, aber diese Ausgabe hier wird in voller Länge, ungekürzt, ungeschminkt in Englisch ausgestrahlt. Kurz noch etwas anderes. Wenn ihr eine Nachricht bekommen möchtet, wenn es neue Inhalte, neue Podcasts, neue Kurse, neue was auch immer von mir gibt, dann schreibt euch doch ein auf meiner Homepage zum Newsletter, damit ihr in Zukunft Informationen bekommen könnt, wenn immer etwas Neues von mir auftaucht. Ihr findet das Formular, wo ihr euch eintragen könnt, auf der Homeseite meiner Homepage digitalupside.ch. Dort könnt ihr eure E-Mail-Adresse hinterlassen. Und nun also, without further ado, das Interview mit Sigrun. Viel Spaß. Hi Sigrun and very welcome to my podcast.
Hi Michael, thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that this happened, that we finally found time to spend some time together, that I can ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in. I read in your recently published book that the business that you're running, the very successful business that you have, wasn't your first trial. Can you talk a bit about how it all started and when you realized that there's something more to it when you tried doing what you're really doing now?
Yeah. Well, I think I always thought I would have a business one day. I just didn't know what. And I thought you first had to have a great idea before you start a business. And I have found with trial and error, actually, the decision to have a business can be the first one and you don't need to know what it is yet. But, you know, the years before, when I was thinking about having my own business, I thought I could only do it if I had this brilliant idea, you know, the one that comes to you in the shower or on a walk or a hike or in the plane. And this brilliant idea didn't come to me. So I kept on running other people's businesses until I found myself actually in Switzerland. I was running businesses in Iceland before, then I met my husband. He's British Swiss, and I moved to Switzerland. And I started to manage small companies in Switzerland as well. And until one day I started to have muscle pain and I was unable to work for 7 months. And that made me really think about maybe having my own business, I would be better able to take care of my health. Because what was causing the issue was long working hours. They're quite long in Switzerland compared to Iceland. And also, I didn't have a lot of meetings. I didn't have to go out of the office. So I was sitting at my desk really 9 hours a day or even longer. And this caused this muscle pain. And but I was scared to get going. So I was lucky that I was offered a job while I was sick and to work from home. So that was like a carrot for me, like, oh, I can work from home. That's great. So in my mind, I could already test this idea of mine that I was starting to form in my head, that I was very interested in online business. You know, people could work from home. I could take care of my health. I could have flexible working hours. So for 1.5 years, I tried it out as an employee, how it was to work from home, and I loved it. And this is now over 10 years ago. And then I realized I wasn't the right employee in this job. So I suggested that they find someone else. And suddenly I found myself unemployed, and I still had this muscle pain issue. And I knew this was the time to get started. What was my age then? Probably 42. And so it's actually the average age of starting a business is around 40.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that the average?
Yes, it's 41, I think. So I was 42. I was like, because you have then gained enough experience. We always hear about these entrepreneurs that start a company really young, like Richard Branson, Gary Vaynerchuk, and all these like famous entrepreneurs that they basically start a business 6 years old or 12 years old or 18 years old. Most entrepreneurs do not. Most entrepreneurs are employees first, gain good experience, and then when the time comes, they start a business, and those businesses are likely to survive because they have a lot of experience. And so I knew I wanted to start a business after losing my job and getting sick. And then I went to the unemployment office, and they told me point blank, you are unemployable, because I had been a CEO. I had studied architecture and computer science and business. I did not fit into one box, and in Switzerland, that's not good. You should be in one box. And so they told me, just go ahead, we'll support you. So I got into a program where they support you to start your own business, which was really good. But now I come to the point that you were asking me about, what should my business be about? And I was a passionate photographer. I had a photo studio at home. So that was one of my ideas, to become a photographer. I was even starting to charge for portraiture sessions, but that was location dependent. If I would take pictures of people, they would have to come to my studio, and I couldn't just have a studio on the go. I would probably have to have it in a certain city or village. And I also thought to myself, I don't know, it just felt like a very hard business to get into, but the location dependency was really the killer for me. Another idea I had was to write travel books. I love my home country, Iceland. I always make a goal of traveling at least 1 week a year, some to a new area in the country I haven't been to before. I think this was very helpful when I got to know my husband, and he had 2 small children. I wanted really to show them Iceland. So I started to take a lot of pictures, and I had to write down our stories. And I thought this idea of having a travel book for families with lots of pictures and instructions what they can do with their kids. Well, I wrote the book. It's not been published. What happened was, when it came to the maps, I was like, I can use Google Maps. No. You cannot just take Google Maps. You have to get permission. You have to license it. And that was a very complicated process. And it sounded like also a very expensive process. And I felt like, okay, is this travel book idea really that good? You're like, how many books can I write per year? 1 or 2? Can I really live from it? It dawned on me that this idea wasn't as exciting as I thought it was originally. Even though
the book was finished.
The book was half finished, but I couldn't publish it because I didn't have the maps. I would have to draw the maps. A lot of people do that. They take Google Maps and they just draw on top of the maps, and then I could publish it. But I thought, okay, is this a sustainable business? Just bringing out one book, what does that bring? So no, I binned the idea, basically went to the rubbish bin, like the photography idea. Then I thought about a business consultancy. So I had been a consultant. When I was a CEO, I would do sometimes business plans. And if I found myself between jobs, actually the startup scene in Iceland was very well aware of me. And I would often get projects to write business plan for startups, especially those who were applying for grants. So I knew how to do that so that they would get the grant. But it was the process was very much, I had to pull the information out of the people. They weren't so eager to write their own business plans. They just wanted to outsource it, have someone else do it. So they didn't even give me enough time or information. And sometimes I just had to make things up. And actually, in one instance, I was helping a startup, wrote the business plan, and I noticed they needed some pictures. The pictures were used for years. I did that for free because I just enjoyed taking the pictures. They used the pictures for years, but I doubt that the business plan was used. And it's very disappointing to do a job, whatever job it is, and realize your job is not bearing any fruit. People are not using the results. Then it came to I think this was the last idea I tried out or thought seriously about, was an online shop. I decided I wanted to do an online business. That was getting very clear to me, because location independence, how do you get location independence, online business, working from your laptop from anywhere in the world. I was mainly thinking Iceland and Switzerland. I'm from Iceland, I live in Switzerland. I want to spend 50% of my time in each country. So that was clear to me, online business, but I thought maybe an online shop would be cool. And I love Icelandic design. And I thought, hey, maybe I can do a shop and people from all over the world can buy Icelandic design. I set up a Shopify account and make a mock-up website. It was not like finished for people to buy from, but just for me to test, like the process. I talked to vendors. I went to a special fair in Iceland, talking to people, meeting people, different designers. I went and visited 2 companies that were already successful at exporting. And I got 2 partners that could cooperate with me, because I was living in Switzerland, so I needed a partner in Iceland. And then it dawned on me all these things like shipping and returns. And I was like, oh my God, if someone wants to return an item, they have to ship it back. Where do we keep stock? Would we have to keep stock in Central Europe, not just in Iceland, because shipping from Iceland to the rest of Europe is very expensive. You could not have the stock in Switzerland, because shipping from Switzerland is again very expensive. You would need the stock in Germany. The problems were just starting to be like, I'm not so excited about this anymore. And then the final thing that really killed the idea was when I went into Google keywords and put in Icelandic design, and it turned out nobody was searching for it. And if nobody is searching for what you want to offer, well, you can give up a nice business idea. So yeah, these were all the things that came to my mind, and I spent around 18 months in what you call soul searching or business searching, determined to start a business, until one day I got so frustrated and said, okay, I'm actually going to do it. I'm actually going to become a business coach. That was the thing that I had been avoiding the whole time.
And when you started this business of being a business coach, why didn't you have the same experience in that case? How did you realize, hey, that is it, this is me, this is this is where I belong?
Yeah. So during all of this, let's say soul searching, business searching, I was active in Facebook groups. I had done an online business course back in 2013. And I'd got to know a community of thousands of people, mainly women, who were on their online business journey. I didn't know what I wanted yet, but they were asking for advice on this and that. And I felt compelled to help. I had run IT companies before, website design company. We had put together websites for some of the largest companies in Iceland. I knew a lot about online, even though I didn't know exactly how to build an online business myself. I was able to help. And I was in this situation of helping people without any thoughts of actually trying to sell anybody anything. It was just really because I was searching for what I wanted. And sometimes that's the best way. And then you just see, where are you being helpful? Where are people asking you for advice? And what happened in this particular Facebook group was that people started to tag me and say, Sigrun knows. Oh, Sigrun helped me last week. I think she can help you. And there was this snowball, and people started to kind of look for my advice. and tag me in the group and really respect my opinion. When I posted something, people would comment on it. And in the beginning, I didn't see it as a business. I was still searching for what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until at the end of 2013, someone told me about another online course. It was more like an accountability online course. It was not directly business related. And I said, oh, I'll join this course, because I felt I was still searching. I was still not really knowing. When I joined the course and saw what the woman was doing there, she was basically making people take action on their dreams and I was like, that's what I can do. Like, basically with business strategy and online business combined, I love making people take action. And it just hit me like a lightning. I said, this is it. I don't know if you read the book from Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist.
I read it a long time ago.
Yes. Many of us have read it. It's like an example. You know, you can read it literally. Oh, there's a boy searching for a treasure. Or you can read it in a way like, if I'm searching for something, maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. So I was there having 10 years experience as a CEO, turning companies around, doing mergers, doing startups, and I was avoiding actually calling myself a business coach. I knew that consultancy was not my thing, because then you are doing the work and you don't know if the company will implement it or not. I loved helping these individuals. These were women and also men who were trying to figure out how to create their website or how to get their Facebook page reach up. And I obviously could help them, and I saw the results of the work. And that gave me this positive feedback that we're all looking for when we do a job. We want to know if we did a good job.
Mm. Now, the whole coaching business online seems to be full of participants. There's almost no market entry barriers. The tools are readily available and usually do not cost a lot of money. But what does people like you make successful? What brings the success? What are the, 3-5 success factors that turn a trial into a success?
Yeah, the market is getting more crowded, as you say. Anyone can call themselves a coach. Anyone can start an online coaching business, and it takes very little financially and also in time, which makes it very attractive. So low barrier of entry, as you said. And what makes people stand out? In the beginning, I would just make my website like anybody else. I would just talk about how I could help. And then because I was active in Facebook groups, I gradually got clients over to my website and they would sign up for my things. I didn't realize that you actually do have to bring out your uniqueness. You know, I had studied, I did an MBA at London Business School. Of course, I learned about unique selling proposition, but somehow, USP. But somehow when I was starting my own business, I didn't realize what is my USP and how do I communicate it? Yeah. So in the beginning, I wouldn't share so much that I was a CEO for 10 years. I didn't share that I was from Iceland, although people would maybe hear that I'm not a native English speaker. I didn't emphasize it. I didn't talk about that once I used to have a motorcycle or that I live in 2 countries. But actually, my clients care about all these things. I attract highly educated women. You know, I have 4 master's degrees myself, and I have 10 years CEO experience. So when my clients are comparing, like, who should they work with, you know, and they're comparing business coaches, they would say, okay, I want to go to Sigrun because she is also highly educated like me. Many of my clients have a PhD or at least 1 university master. And then there are others that say, well, I actually want to work with a business coach that's actually run a business before they started their online business, because we do have a lot of business coaches out there. Their first business is a business coaching business. But it's not just that. It's not just like experience and education. It's also little details. I wear red all the time. And in marketing, it is very good. People are like, when did you decide this? And how come you wear red all the time? And do you have any other colors in your closet? I get this question every day. I'm like, if people are talking about you, then your marketing is working. Especially when people talk about you when you are not around. That's called branding. Branding is what people say when you are not in the room. And what they say is sometimes, the Icelandic business coach, the woman who's always wearing red. And then they talk about maybe many of my successful clients. That is really my, let's say, my attraction today is actually my clients. Because they go out and say who they work with. And to my luck, even though I don't really believe in luck, I had a lot of very successful clients from Germany in my first few years. I thought by having an English-speaking business, even though I'm based in Switzerland, that I would attract people from all over the world. But no, 60% of my clients were for a long time German-speaking, mainly from Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. Yes. I think it's partly due to the fact that I'm based in Switzerland. So people feel like, she's closer to me. Not that we were necessarily meeting in person because it's all online. But then I had some very successful clients and they recommended me. And so even if you think online business is Facebook ads and social media, nothing trumps a personal recommendation. Now I have also some successful clients in the Czech Republic and Poland. So it's no longer 60% German speaking, but I have a very strong foothold in the German market. Many of the most successful online entrepreneurs in Germany, especially women, they are my former clients. And that is really helpful because people will look for, where did this person, who did they work with to become so successful? And then they go and look that person up.
So when I try to summarize this, you're saying it's basically the whole person. It's you as a person coming from Iceland. It is you with all your degrees that you have and your CEO experiences that you had. You as a person with your accent, with your red clothes, with the way you are as a person, combined with how you approach people and teach what you teach.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's often forgotten, especially if you come from corporate like I do, where we're very business, like the business is this, and you don't bring your personality in. But in the online business, personal branding trumps everything. Even if you're working in a company, I can see very successful personal brands being established. I see it especially on LinkedIn, that people are establishing their personal brands within a company. So if they ever change their jobs, it's very easy because they've established a brand. They have authority, what they talk about, how they talk about it.
And they do this within a company.
Yeah. Yes.
And, I haven't heard this before. And how, when I look at you and I follow you, then I find this, it's not easy, but it's easier. And combined with a corporate context, I perceived corporate as being so cold, so distant, so non-personal. So there's a clear distinction of business and private.
Yeah.
And these people that you're describing, they're finding this combination that you're actually doing in a corporate world.
Yeah. So let's imagine you HR specialist. Let's say someone is in charge of HR, and you would post daily on LinkedIn thought leadership pieces. Now, it doesn't need to be a huge article, sometimes just a short social media post, but it's your take on a topic. And whether you have a personal brand business like mine, or you are in a company, nothing should stop you from building your thought leadership. So let's say, because I'm all about gender equality, if World Economic Forum publishes a new report, let's say on Monday, you read it, and by Friday you have out a LinkedIn article about your opinion on that report. This you can do whether you're inside a company or outside a company, any individual, we can all be broadcasters, we can all be podcast hosts, and we can share our voice. And I think it's really cool for people in companies to do this, whether they plan to go to another company later on, or maybe start their own business in the future. The jump is going to be much easier if they have established their thought leadership.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. So, and would you say anyone can do it?
I would say theoretically anyone can do it. And I inspire and empower, especially women. I also work with men, but mainly women, that anyone can do it. But I know also from my team, there are people on my team that used to be entrepreneurs, and they realized they don't like to be so visible. They don't like to market themselves. They don't enjoy it. They don't enjoy going on a podcast and sharing their story, or they don't feel they have a story, although I know everyone has a story, but it's about learning how to share it. So there are people who don't like the marketing of themselves. So they have the skills to build an online business or coaching business, everything, but they just don't like that part. And we're all different people. And so I have people on my team that have given up on their companies and said, okay, I'd rather be in a team. And they want to be a part of a mission though. So they're not here to just work for Sigrun. Yes, he's a fun person and everything like that. But my mission is to accelerate gender equality through female entrepreneurship. So they buy into the mission. They're like, I want to be a part of something bigger than myself. I don't want to be the person in the forefront doing the marketing, going on Facebook Live and all that stuff. I'll support someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I thought more in the direction of, given that you want it, can anybody do it?
Given that you want it, I truly believe anyone can find a way. For instance, not everyone needs to be on video. There are ways to just write blog posts. But you need to be willing to market yourself. Mm-hmm. And if that piece is missing, then it's better to be a part of somebody's team or work in a company. So if the willingness to market yourself is there, you can find a way that is more fitting to your personality. There are people who love being on video, they're very extroverted, and others prefer to write 1 or 2 blog posts a week. These are both valid marketing methods. And so we don't have to put everyone in the same box. But yeah, if the willingness is there, I think they can do it.
Mm-hmm. You said that at the beginning about 60% of your customers were from German-speaking countries, and you have the international market, the English-speaking market. When you combine these two, do you find a difference between the German-speaking market to the international market?
So the interesting thing that I found out when I started my business, I thought I would attract people in the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, like native English speakers. And I found that when someone is a non-native English speakers, they tend to attract other non-native English speakers. So even if we call it an international market, yes, it is international, but I would say my clients are mostly people that either don't live in the country where they were born, or they're very high affinity to English or travel, or have lived abroad or studied abroad. So in the beginning, yes, I attracted a lot of German speakers. Now it's more balanced. I have a lot of people from the Czech Republic and Poland. The difference between the German-speaking community today versus, for instance, the Eastern European community is, I feel there is, the market has become more mature in Germany. They're getting, they've caught up with the international or the US market in terms of online business. The online business is always ahead in the US. That's where we learn most of the trends and they come over. But the German market is catching up fast. I feel in the Eastern European market, especially the women from Czech Republic and Poland, are willing to do more to achieve success.
than
those in the German-speaking market.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I often get the question, how much time does it take? How many hours per day do I need to invest to build my online business? And I'm like, as many as you have, you're building a business. But I do have to answer when I'm selling a course and say it's 1.5 hours, 2 hours. I have to say that. I do not get this question from the Eastern European community. Not as much. It may come up. There is, and I guess you will see this in any other business, is like when people suddenly have a chance, they have a new chance they haven't had before, they grab it with both hands and they're willing to do anything. Investing in an online course from someone who's based in Switzerland and you live in the Czech Republic, that's a fortune for them. But it's maybe not as expensive in the minds of someone who is in a German-speaking area. And maybe they're not willing to work as hard to have the success they want to have. I want to inspire both because typically female-run companies or female-founded companies, 90% of them makes less than 100,000 a year. And so if about 1/3 of companies are founded by women, that's great. And steigen is growing. Sometimes I throw in a German word. But they make only 4% of the total revenue.
Okay.
So if you take the revenue of all companies, 4% is from female-owned companies. That is shockingly low.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And why is it?
Because a lot of women treat their companies as hobbies.
Okay.
They do it part-time. And
Okay, so they're not underestimating themselves?
No, actually, the female-owned companies are more stable than men-owned companies, because women are taking less risk. So when you take less risk, you have also lower returns. So 90% of the female-owned companies earn less than 100,000 a year. Most of them have no employees, and they can only pay themselves small or no salaries. And I literally have these women as my clients, so I know what I'm talking about. It's not just statistics, it's actually real people. And I'm encouraging them to think bigger. So my goal is to get as many as possible to cross the $1 million mark. There's only 2% of them who make that. But that is really my goal. But first we need to change this attitude of part-time. My business is something I do on the side when I have time. I take a break in the summer. I'm like, who takes a break in the summer? I want women to think about, you have to be financially independent. You cannot rely on a man or a partner. And, we know in Iceland, when someone divorces, they go their separate ways. Each person has to be financially responsible for their own future. This has been the way for the last 50 years. So this is normal to me. And I realize in Switzerland and some other countries that there is still this idea that the man should provide, even after divorce, for the woman and the kids. And that is an outdated model. And women have to face that. So therefore, they need to take their businesses seriously and make some serious money so that when something goes haywire, that they can actually afford it. And I love when I share about my most successful clients who are making $1 million or more, is that many of them are gone through a divorce. And now they can easily finance their life because they are, have stable businesses, they have employees. How we measure also how well economy is running. I don't know if you know this, but when you go to the US and I turn on CNN and it always says 200,000 jobs created, 300,000 jobs created. And this got stuck in my head. And then I come back here to my desk and think, how many jobs have women created in their businesses? Not many. because most of them earn less than 100,000. They cannot employ anyone. So if you measure the economy with the number of jobs, women have to do more for the economy.
I find this very interesting because felt like reading many times that you say, I fight for women, I do a lot of work for women. At the other side, you also tell women you need to do more, you need to stand up, build your business and take it serious.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things governments can do. You know, we need maternity leave, we need paternity leave. People can basically look up what Iceland is doing. We've been #1 in gender equality for the last 11 years, according to the World Economic Forum. You can look at what a country does to create the structure so that women actually can work 100%. All the women I know work 100%. I think actually it's frowned upon if you work part-time, because it's expected that men and women contribute both to society, and that also using their brain power to create something, to create value. And so kindergarten paid down by the government, not making it the people's problems, like in Switzerland, that someone has a child. It's literally your individual problem that you have a child. But in Iceland, it's seen as a society has to give you the support so that you can make your dreams come true and get supported with childcare. The paternity leave was a game changer. When I was running a company and they extended they made special paternity leave, and I would book a meeting with someone and it's maybe 4 p.m. I got a decline. No, I'm picking up my child from kindergarten. And as a boss, I was a bit frustrated, but as a woman, I was like, yes, we are making change. So these things can only be influenced by governments, in my opinion. But there's so much women can do themselves. We need to increase women's confidence. One of the reasons women take less risk and are less likely to start a business is that they have lower self-confidence. This starts at an early age. I'm probably not able to fix it. I think we need psychologists and teachers and parents and who knows what to fix that. But we can talk about it. And so they can slowly get out of their comfort zone. And that's a part of what I do in my program, is to increase their self-confidence. Make them actually believe that they can do it. Once you have that, that's worth way more than any money you can earn. It's just having more self-confidence. For instance, if I look at my own self-confidence, if I had no money tomorrow, I would for some weird reason lose it. I know that I'll make it back.
That was one question I wanted to ask you, actually.
Yeah.
But just before that, I wanted to ask you another one. And that is, you mentioned the mature market. You know, when I look at myself, I started podcasting. I started Digital Upside in April of this year. And sometimes I think to myself, you're a little late to this party. What do you reply to a person who has that thought?
Podcasting is on the rise. So I don't think it's the concept of being too late. I think podcasting is, yes, it's a competitive market, and I think people have sometimes too high expectations on what they can achieve with a podcast. When I started my podcast 2017, I thought it was too late, and it was not. It's just way more important to uniquely position yourself, whether you're going to start to be an online coach or starting a podcast. The unique positioning is way more important now than ever before. I was talking to John Lee Dumas, who's one of the most known podcasters, and he started, many, many moons ago, his podcast. And he said, if I was starting again, he could not use the name he's using today. He has Entrepreneurs on Fire. What does that mean? So if you start a podcast today, or an online coaching business, or any type of business, niche down. Pick a very clear title. For instance, I picked Sigrun Show. That's not a good title either. So you would rather say kickstart your online business, or create your best online course, or sell out your retreats, like that specific, then you get the listeners that actually want to listen to that. Now, all of us want to be a little bit broader in our podcast, and that's okay. And sometimes we can just grow with our audience and adjust our names later. But in the beginning, to enter the market, it's all about niching.
Mm-hmm. So are you saying it's not too late? It's never too late to start. Just go ahead and be specific, be clear, and niche down.
Yeah.
Now, what I started asking before, what you brought up by yourself, is if anything was taken from you, you had nothing left than just what you know and yourself, and you wanted to build the same business, what would you do? What steps would you take to get as quickly as possible to where you are now?
I would take the recipe from my book. I wrote this book, Kickstart Your Online Business. And that concept is to get clear on who you want to serve and what problem you want to solve. Once you have those two questions answered, who you want to serve, what's the problem you want to solve, you can do a survey. I've had clients that have created 9 online courses. None of them was selling very well. Then they took this method and they're like, oh, I should actually ask people what they want. When you ask people what they want, you are able to create the right products. Then you go and create a better version of your product. You do not create the full product. You do not sit down and create the perfect online course or any type of perfect product. You create a minimum viable product and you put it out to the market, and you even give people free access. Because in the beginning, it doesn't matter that you make money or not. It's to verify your concept, verify your business idea. And then when people get to know you and they get free access to your beta course, they want to buy from you. Reciprocity. It's always a word I've struggled with, but now I can say it. I was practicing earlier today. Reciprocity. When you give value and you over-deliver in your value without overwhelming, always be careful not to overwhelm people, but you over-deliver, you deliver more than you promised, people want to pay you back. And sometimes they just do that by saying thank you and recommending you, but there is a percentage that will want to work with you. They say, what else can I learn from this person? Wow, I've learned so much. I would love to learn more. And this is human nature. This is how we are wired. We are wired to want to give back to the people that have helped us. And if we can afford to work with them, we will do so. It's also the whole know, like, and trust, but now with online business, we have to give a little bit more. It's not enough to just send out a PDF and say like, oh yeah, now I've given you value. No, I suggest you have a free 4-week course. And that's the model I would use myself to restart my business.
Mm-hmm. The day has only 24 hours and we can only do so much like we can do, but there's always more to a person than what the person does. So my question is there anything else sleeping in you that you currently cannot realize? If you could start another business, do something else, what would it be?
Well, I kind of mentioned it without saying it directly. There's a book burning inside of me. It's not just a book, it's a whole project, Recipe for Gender Equality. And since 2016, I've been thinking about it. I've not taken serious action yet, but I met Richard Branson on his private island last week. And I told him about this project and he got excited and has connected me with Virgin Unite, which is his nonprofit arm of the Virgin Group. And they do a lot of gender equality projects as well. So maybe that will be some sort of a collaboration, or maybe I can step into projects that they have. It is a project that is not directly business because I'm not thinking it as a for-profit thing. But, you know, I burn so much for this subject. I'm wondering what else I can do. Yes, I'm helping women start a business. Yes, I'm helping women make $1 million a year. But I'm like, what is there else I can do? Because I feel we're doing great in Iceland, we could do better. The reason we're number one in gender equality is not because we're so good, it's because everyone else is worse. I would love to have a book that gives governments, companies, and people a recipe for what they can do to accelerate this process. So that's my secret project.
That sounds very exciting. So that's already the next book project.
Yes, I think so. But this book will take several years in the making. I plan to work with a university to have it a research-based book. I have my opinion, but a book like that should not be my opinion. It should be an actual recipe verified by experts and scientists that this is the approach that they recommend.
Is this aimed at governments or is this aimed at everyone?
Yeah, so that's the process I'm going through right now. I just gave a talk last week and I realized that the most impactful things I can share right now, just like you mentioned before, is probably telling women what they can do. Like that fits my business the best. And also the talks or interviews that I might have in the near future fit this audience the best. Like what can women do themselves so we can accelerate gender equality? I would still like to have a book or a project where I tell governments and companies what to do. So this is still needs to be worked out.
Mm-hmm. Is there, talking about Richard Branson and his island, was there something that surprised you when you were there, when you saw him, when you were in touch with him?
Wow, I had read his book 15 years ago, and I read another one of his books just before I arrived. And one thing is reading about a person in a book and then actually seeing them in action. He is, for me, the ultimate lifestyle entrepreneur. You know, when I was starting my business, I was telling people, oh, I'm creating a lifestyle business. My lifestyle comes first, my business second. Well, here is a man, a billionaire, who's actually living this. So lifestyle business isn't just something small, isn't just something for women who want to work from home. No, there's a man, he used to work from his houseboat, and now he works from his private island. To me, that was like, wow, I've seen it in person. It's real. This actually works. You can live and work wherever and still have 400 companies. I love that he has an idea for a gap in the market, whether it's for-profit or non-profit. He finds a partner, basically often like a CEO or someone like who's passionate about the project. They find resources and then off they go, they set it up. So he exits right away. He doesn't need to be in the office. And I think that's so brilliant. You just find the person to run the business or run the nonprofit. He is hugely, adamant about that you have for-profit first. And I think this was important, and I need to communicate this with the women I work with. A lot of women start their business and say, I want to help people. I want to have impact. And I'm like, you haven't made any profit yet. How are you going to help? And I love that Richard Branson said, that's clearly the better way, in his opinion. You have a for-profit company. You can reward the people who help you build the company properly, you can pay them better salaries and make them have a share in the profit or even shares in the company. Then you can take out that profit to build a non-profit. But if you start with non-profit alone, it will never get as big. Because you're always thinking on a lower level versus thinking actually on the profit level. Yeah, there were many things that I just felt he's a better, greater person than you can imagine in the books. Very generous. He was finishing a tennis match when I was walking past, and I needed everything is with a golf cart on this island, and it's very hilly. So you typically want a golf cart to drive you somewhere. And he said, you need a lift. And I said, yeah, I just ordered a car. No, cancel that. I'll drive you. And I'm like, here's a billionaire. Why would he drive me? Like, oh, I know I'm a guest on his island, but he doesn't know me personally. He's driving me to my house where I was staying, one of his houses. And then he's asking, so what do you do? And I think he's honestly interested. That was so impressive. I don't know, we can all learn from that. This generosity, hospitality, being hugely interested in people. He doesn't necessarily remember my name now, but because I had a chance to talk to him 3 days in a row, either in his golf cart or in a hot tub, and I mentioned gender equality every time. He will probably not forget the women in red who mention gender equality all the time. But yeah, I don't know. It makes you even want to be more like him, How can I be more generous? How can I give people the feeling that they are surprised, like how much time you spent with them? That was really inspiring.
Mm-hmm. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I would like to get towards the end of this interview. One or two last questions. You are hugely successful. You are working a lot for your success. And what do you do in order not to be overwhelmed, to regain your energy and to calm down?
So I like to play golf. I haven't played much this year because I was in Iceland a lot and we had horrible summer. But in Iceland also, I spent my time a little bit differently. I spent a lot of time with family, my aging parents, my siblings, my friends. And I love being in my hot tubs. That's what I loved also on the Necker Island of Richard Branson Island. There were hot tubs everywhere and outdoor showers. And I'm like, because in Iceland, in my apartment there, I have a rooftop with a hot tub and an outdoor shower. And I just love, that's a very popular thing we do in Iceland. In Finland, they go to a sauna. In Iceland, we go to a hot tub. And this is where I relax and regain my energy. And you can literally travel around the island and go to a hot tub everywhere. Even if you just rent a cottage. All cottages in Iceland include a hot tub. So, highly recommend it.
That sounds really cool. Apart from the hot tub, do you meditate?
I do not. I go for walks and then I let my mind wander. And that I found best way for me. I tried meditating multiple times. I found walking better way for me to organize my thoughts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's also walking meditations. I mean, walking itself, being alone, being, somewhere in the forest can feel the same as meditation when you get your head clear and the ideas start coming, or you just spend time with yourself.
I find it a win-win situation. I move my legs and it clears my head.
Mm-hmm. Last question. Do you have a fixed morning routine?
So that is a good one. So I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. So a few days a week where I have to start early because I like to give my team a structure that they can follow. So maybe depending on where I am, if I'm in Iceland or Switzerland, I may have to start my day at 8 a.m. because of the time zone difference. So it's 8.
So that's the early start.
That's an early start. Yeah, 8 a.m. And then what I really do, I just get out of bed, I take a shower, I eat my skyr, which you can get in Switzerland also, skyr from Iceland. And then I'm just literally on the minute, 8 o'clock ready to have a call. I am not a person that likes to get up early in the morning. Later in the week, typically Thursdays and Fridays, I have no meetings. These are the days where I can really just focus on my own projects. And then I will really take my time and I will go on my Peloton. And I will ride the Peloton for 20 minutes. Then I'll do some exercises or stretching after that. Then I go into my hot tub. And that is a wonderful way to start the day. But the day gets a little bit later, of course, because this routine takes longer.
Yeah, makes sense. Mm-hmm. All right. So I want to be respectful of the time. I thank you very, very much for spending time with me and patiently answering all my questions.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's been a great joy to be here today.
Thank you for tuning in. Digital Upside Podcast. Information on innovation got you coming back. Woo! DigitalUpside.ch. Let's go.